So, Iron Man is producing a DC property on Netflix. It's like Inception. What is up, Netflix fans? Welcome back to my channel. Sweet Tooth is the brand new original series dropping this weekend. I want to say thank you to Netflix for providing me with screeners. We're going to talk about it spoiler-free in this video, and I'm going to tell you why Sweet Tooth is one of the biggest surprises of the year. So a boy who is half human and half deer survives in a post-apocalyptic world with other hybrids. Nonso Anozie plays Tommy Jepperd, and Christian Convery plays Gus. And as mentioned in the intro, Robert Downey Jr. is the executive producer on this show, and Team Downey is in charge. They've done a show like Perry Mason, a movie like Doolittle, so saw Doolittle, and I'm hoping this strays very far away from that in terms of the quality, but this is also based on a DC/Vertigo property, one that I'm not as familiar with. Normally when we do these comic book shows or movies, I at least have a little bit of the history there. I knew next to nothing about this, and I saw the trailer. I said, oh, this could be cute, but I don't know. I mean, when it was first announced, I thought it was going to be a movie. Then I saw it was a show, and, I'm going into this really kind of hesitant as to where the quality is going to be there or not. And you know what? It's actually really good. Sweet Tooth is one of the most charming things I've watched all year. I could not believe how invested I was in this journey. And it all starts out in the most haunting and semi-dark way, something that's completely unexpected because you think this is going to be some lively family adventure, and of course he's going to encounter scary things along the way, but no, we start out and we are entering the apocalypse here. There is a virus, and it's all too familiar to us. There are numerous different storylines and characters that factor into this, and ultimately, we're going on 2 to 3 separate journeys, but the focus of this journey here is Gus, and you get so emotionally invested in Gus and his storyline off the bat, one, because of his relationship with Will Forte, who plays his father, and while Forte's role may not be what a lot of people hope it to be, he is awesome in this show, especially in this first episode when they're just kind of out in the woods, lone wolfing it, lone deering it, because it's a deer. No. And he's trying to stay separated and keep his son separated from the world because he knows that everyone is essentially out for these half-human, half-animal hybrids. Now, along with the hybrid, I mentioned there is a virus plague of sorts that is taking people out all around the world, and the question is being asked, what came first? Was it the hybrids or was it the virus? And a lot of people are led to believe that maybe the virus led to that or vice versa, but no one truly knows the answer. We have a scientist character who is trying to figure that out, as well as hide some things of his own from his peers, and then another group of characters that come in. They're essentially these cultists led by a very fascinating character who you grow to love. She is fantastic in the show as well, but they are kind of after the character of Jepperd, who comes in early on in the series, helps out Gus, and thus we have our adventure with these two very different and extremely emotional characters, each dealing with something that has happened to them in their past. And we don't learn as much about Jepperd's past until later on. We know that he played sports at a point, but we don't really learn the why of his journey until a couple of episodes in, and once something happens, I was really blown away by some of the unexpected twists and turns in there. I don't know if I was happy about each individual storyline in the way that it goes, but that comes back to kind of the unexpected nature of a show like this when you have so many different elements and so many different characters. And now, obviously, that could come in and take the series down a notch because it could come across as jumbled, but what Sweet Tooth does is it somehow balances and manages all of these characters, all of these storylines, but most importantly, and one thing I was really concerned about going in, and one of the reasons why I was so hesitant, the tone of the show. It is uplifting and emotional, and there's this voiceover with this narrator that takes us through each episode and somehow weaves these stories in and out together, and the narration is awesome. Normally, I don't really love something like that, but in this show, it works extremely well. But along with that sweeping and uplifting nature of it, it also gets really dark and really adult. I mean, this is a show for kids, but I would say older kids. I'd say more in the early teens area. That's kind of where I would start. Young kids may be afraid, not only from the violence that happens here and some of the heartbreak that we get along the way, but also because, our characters are throwing out curse words and the fact that it's an animal-human hybrid. I used to have, nightmares of people with deer's faces and deer bodies with people's faces, and then you see this show, and it's not quite there, but it's still freaky. That's just a personal thing. I don't know. But it was scary, and it worked. But the cool thing about this show is anytime a storyline is introduced and you meet a character or you're understanding that you're in for yet another journey, I was thinking to myself, how are these stories and characters going to connect and interweave? Is it too much? I also really liked our villains here, one in particular. But somehow they all really start tying together towards the end, and everything connects in a way that feels both satisfying, but it keeps that sense of adventure. And, based on a comic book property, you get your action, especially from the character of Jepperd, who does a great job at convincing us that he is really BA. But you also get this adventure and a journey that you don't know if you're quite up for at first, but if you are compelled and if you're sucked into that emotion in the first episode, with that relationship with his father and the friendships that he makes along the way, and of course, our main character played by Christian Convery, who is spectacular. Characters like Bear and Amy and Wendy. Wendy's a really good character, very sweet. And of course, Dr. Singh, someone who is willing to do what it takes, even if he knows it puts his own life at risk. He's going to do what it takes to save his family. Family is a driving force here. Believing in yourself, keeping those qualities that make you human, or in some cases, hybrid, but the sense of belonging or fitting in. I mean, all of these things are hit on. You don't expect it at the beginning. The word here to use is emotional, and it all works surprisingly well. I'm so impressed with what this show gave me. And before I give you guys my score, we're talking Netflix every single week, so be sure to drop your thumbs up button down below if you enjoyed this review, and if you're looking forward to Sweet Tooth, which mixes its heartfelt nature with this dark premise that ultimately creates one of the more magical experiences of the year. This has the potential to be a massive series. I was swept up in the emotion. A couple of cliches here and there, and maybe one or two of the episodes goes on too long. But overall, 85% from me. I cannot believe how much I enjoyed Sweet Tooth and these characters, and how unexpected some of these twists and turns were later on in the series. So one season thus far. Let's hope we get a season 2. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and let me know, are you binge watching Sweet Tooth this weekend? Are you even interested? I was kind of interested, but let me tell you, it was a lot better than I expected it to be. All right, guys, you're the best. I'm going to go not think about a deer with a human face, because that freaks me out.